Hi, my name's Julia, and I'm here on behalf of the PEI Lung Association to give a presentation about vaping. Well, I'm sure you've heard a lot of different things about vaping. Our goal today is to provide you with information to help you make an informed choice. So let's start with some basic facts about vaping. As opposed to smoking cigarettes, which burn tobacco, vaping products do not burn, but rather heat an e-juice to make an aerosol. Aerosol is also known as vapor or cloud. The e-juice has chemicals and flavors, with most containing nicotine, a highly addictive stimulant. There are more than 7,000 flavors of e-juice, ranging from cigarette to candy, fruit, mint, and so on. So why do you think they put so many flavors in vapes? It's actually mostly to hide the bad taste and chemicals of nicotine. You may hear different names for vaping products, but they all work in the same way. Some common names you might come across for these vaping products are vape pen, box mod, pod mod. Vaping has evolved over time to deliver nicotine much quicker to the brain. The pod mod device, which only came out a few years ago and has brands like Juul or Fife, can have very high nicotine content. For example, a pod with 55 milligrams per milliliter of nicotine has the same concentration or amount of nicotine as an entire pack of cigarettes. Some research has shown vaping to be less harmful than cigarettes, but does that mean that vaping is harmless? No, research is now clearly showing us that vaping is not harmless, so let's find out why. Let's start with the vapor. Here are some examples of what would be inside a vapor cloud. The vapor cloud includes nicotine as well as volatile organic compounds, or VOCs, that are found in paint, products, and gasoline. The vapor also contains very tiny particles that can go deep into your lungs, as well as heavy metals such as chromium, nickel, and lead that are released when the vape is heated. Some of the chemicals I mentioned are known to cause cancer, especially VOCs. To understand more about the health effects of vaping, here is Wade Norquay, respiratory therapist at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Charlottetown.
With vaping products only being around for about 10 years now, it's really hard for us to know all the long-term effects. What do we know? Well, we do know that youth that frequently use e-cigarettes develop a chronic cough, they have a lot of phlegm, and they can develop lung inflammation. And if that's not delicious enough for you, other symptoms that you may get is chest pain, feeling like your heart is beating fast or irregular, and it increases your chance of developing chronic heart disease and even asthma. EVALI stands for e-cigarettes or vaping use-associated lung injury. As its name suggests, EVALI refers to lung injuries that are related to vaping and e-cigarette products. More than 2,500 cases of EVALI have been identified in the US and Canada. Here, you can see a picture of damaged lungs. Ugh. The lung wall is thickened and inflamed. That's fancy talk for it's fat and gross. And there is a fluid in that part of the lungs, also not so great. This makes it extremely hard and painful for you to take a breath, kind of like breathing underwater. The majority of the cases of EVALI are reported in youth and young adults, which is kind of odd because typically this stuff happens to older folk. It is a fairly new vaping health risk, so researchers are working hard to learn more about the short-term and long-term effects. However, we already know that the best way to prevent potential effects of EVALI is to avoid vaping altogether. Vaping-related lung injuries are not the only health that's associated with vaping. High levels of nicotine found in vaping products can have a negative effect on the developing brain. What we do know is that the sooner you start abusing substances, the more likely you are to remodel your brain. So if you are going to have problems with other addictions, it starts at a young age, and nicotine is a primary example of one of these chemicals. The high level of nicotine forming in vaping products can also have a negative effect on the developing brain. Nicotine is a chemical found in both tobacco and in the majority of e-juices. Nicotine also increases your risk of increases your heart rate and your blood pressure, which are also nasty side effects. One of the primary concerns about youth vaping is the exposure of nicotine and how it impacts the developing brain of the youth. Did you know that your brain is still developing up to the age of 25, which is odd because I felt grown up when I was 16. Nicotine can negatively affect memory, concentration, and your mood, as well as increases anxiety and stress. And the funny thing is, people go through withdrawal and smoke to reduce the withdrawal, but really what they're doing is trying to get rid of the withdrawal symptoms. They're not actually relaxing. So you're kind of defeating the purpose. Using nicotine as a youth causes the brain to change and want more nicotine. Youth brains are particularly vulnerable to the addictive effects of nicotine, making it harder to quit. So sometimes your mom actually knows what she's talking about. There is evidence that youth who are vaping products or using vaping products are more likely to later in life to use tobacco products such as cigarettes. And this makes sense. You're actually practicing with those products. So you think it's just a one and done? Not so much. When someone vapes, it does not only affect that person, the people and even pets around them can intake some of the vapor, and this can cause more harm. Some people can have highly sensitive reactions to vapor, especially people who have lung conditions such as COPD, a disease you get from smoking cigarettes, and asthma, something you can get at any age.
Okay, so now we're going to play a game, true or false, to test your knowledge of these products. So, true or false? There has not been enough time to study the long-term effects of vaping products. True. The first vaping product was created in 2003 in China. It could be years before the health effects of vaping products are fully known. It took decades for us to learn the health effects of smoking cigarettes. Next question, true or false? Vaping produces a harmful vapor cloud. True. Vaping creates a vapor containing harmful chemicals that are inhaled into the lungs and then exhaled into the environment. True or false? Bomberry Shake by Milkshake Liquids and Peach Blossom Lemonade by Lemon Twist are some examples of e-juice flavors. True. Flavors are added to hide the bad taste of nicotine and other chemicals. These flavors attract young people. True or false? Many vaping products are made by companies that make cigarettes. True. Companies who make cigarettes are now making vaping products. They are using the same tactics to sell vaping products. For example, Juul, one of the top-selling vaping products, is partially owned by a large tobacco company. Last question. The majority of e-cigarette or vaping product use associated lung injury, also known as AVALI, has been diagnosed in people below the age of 34. True. The majority of cases have been in youth and young adults below the age of 34. Now, let's discuss how advertising is used to promote vaping and attract new users. Here are two American ads. The first one is an older cigarette ad, and the second one is a more recent vaping advertisement. These ads are called lifestyle ads, as they try to promote a certain kind of lifestyle to the users. They are bright, they have bright colors, and they have young, happy people to make their products look more attractive. While using lifestyle advertising to promote tobacco and vaping products is illegal in Canada, you can still see it online. Another form of advertisement that you may be more familiar with is in social media. At first, when you look at these posts, you may not recognize them as advertisements. However, often, vaping product companies will pay social media influencers to promote their products via platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Influencers often portray themselves as happy, enjoying life, and subtly showing these products. This means that most of the time, viewers are unaware that they're actually seeing an ad. Young consumers are more likely to pay attention to posts where they subtly promote these products rather than, your traditional ad. So they are essentially being manipulated. On average, vaping costs about $5 per day, or $150 per month, or $1,800 per year. Now just imagine what you could do with that money. It's quite a lot of money, and it would add up over time. So what would you do with $1,800? You could buy 5 iPads, a plane ticket, 2 PS5s, or even an iPhone 13. In Canada, there are laws about how vaping products are sold. Here in Prince Edward Island, you must be 21 years of age to buy vaping products. PEI has banned the sale of flavored vaping products. Vaping products are only allowed to be sold at adult-only vaping stores and tobacconists. Even though vaping products are not allowed to be sold to persons under 21, it happens more often than you think. Let's hear from some teens who have vaped and their stories.
I started vaping because it was just the thing to do when you were in high school. Everyone else was doing it, so you start doing it. I believe I started vaping at my friend's house for the first time. One of her friends had a vape, and just kind of went like that.
I did feel a little bit like peer pressure when I started vaping because it would happen around me and I would be the only one, well not the only one, but one of the only ones to be excluded from that. So they would offer it to me and I would say no, and then I would feel the need to do it just to be included in that group.
To me, I'd say vaping is a bit more expensive and can also kind of be a bit worse for your health depending on how addicted you are. I mean, like my addiction, I feel like the way I did it was worse than cigarettes because I did it almost all day and every day. I went through 3 stealth pots a day usually, so I mean, it was bad. It was horrible. I'm pretty sure it's worse than smoking in the long run for the crazy amounts of times I vape, so.
Yeah, if I don't have access to my vape, I can't relax. I just want it, and I will do whatever I can to get it. I'm digging through drawers, trying to find a charger, trying to smoke like empty pods with nothing in them. Then I'm either manic cleaning or trying to occupy myself so that I'm not thinking about the fact that I want to vape. I need to keep busy. I can't just relax. I need to be doing something at all times. I can't just sit down and watch TV. I need to keep busy so that I'm not thinking about the fact that I want to vape right now.
After vaping for about 2 years, I can't even use a vape anymore. About half a second of inhaling it, I'll just be coughing up a lung and everything. What was it? The beep test. I lasted the longest in the whole squadron, and I couldn't even get past level 3 in gym class after I started vaping and smoking because my lungs just didn't like that at all.
Before I started vaping, I was very into like sports and things like that. So I would go swimming and I'd do running and I'd like cycle and everything. And I feel like before vaping, my lung capacity was much better, obviously. And then after vaping, I would feel fatigued easier. And then I would get shortness of breath and maybe like my chest would start expanding a little bit more than usual. And I just felt like tired because of, I guess, vaping and things like that.
I believe it definitely has affected how I breathe and my lungs and stuff. They're not as good as they used to be. I used to be able to like talk full sentences, and now I have to take more breaths in between because I can't hold as much air in my lungs to keep going. I've spent a lot more money on this than I ever want to spend on anything. Like over 4 years, I can easily say I've spent at least $2,000 a year on this.
Money-wise, are you gonna buy gas and groceries when you're out of school, or are you gonna be spending them on vape pods and vape juice? Like, that's kind of what it comes down to with me almost. I'm like, oh shoot, I gotta get some pods, but I should probably fill my car. It's just not worth it.
It's not as cool as you think it is. It drains your money more than you'll ever think it does, and there becomes a point where it does nothing for you.
I mean, sure, getting big clouds out and having nicotine may feel nice for now, but I mean, I know I'm going to regret it even more later in life because, I mean, your body will only age. It does not get stronger at this point.
Well, my grandfather used to smoke cigarettes and like unfiltered cigarettes, and I would notice that he would have a hard time speaking, and then he would eventually pass away from lung cancer. And so I pretty much related that experience to my own experience of being fatigued and like tired all the time. And so I would investigate what exactly you're putting into your body, and then possibly reaching out for help if you can't do it as easily as you think you can, because it's something normal. people go through this and, they need help.
As you have just seen, vaping can affect your health, lead to addiction, and cost you a lot of money. Every day, more information is coming out about vaping products. Although this is a fairly new product and there's still lots to be discovered. If you remember anything from this presentation, we would like you to remember that vaping is not harmless. It can become an addiction, it can cause serious damage to your lungs, your brain, and your future. Well, thanks so much for having me. If you have questions about vaping, there is lots of information on the PEI Lung Association website, pei.lung.ca. Anyways, have a great day. Thanks.